There are some places that don't just change your plans, they change you. This Thursday's episode is less of a travel guide and more of a love letter to chaos, to color, to letting go, and to the kind of growth you can only find on the road. Hello, and welcome back to Lost and Found, the space where we're figuring things out in real time together. I'm your host, Carmen Vit. And for the past 3 months, I've been solo traveling through India. But sadly, today, I'm recording my final episode from here. Because in 2 days, I pack my bags and I head to my next country. If you're curious to know where I'm going, wait till the end. I'll tell you then. I still can't quite believe this time is coming to an end. I've spent the past 3 months in this wild, beautiful, soul-shifting country. And honestly, I don't say that lightly. It has been intense. It has been challenging. It has opened me up in ways that I really didn't expect. But it has also been one of the most creatively rich, heart-opening chapters of my life. And honestly, I can't give you a neat travel itinerary for India. I know everybody's messaging me. People are in my DMs saying, give me a travel itinerary. But I don't really think it works like that here. India is way too big. It's too layered, too diverse to be packaged into some list of must-see sites or places. I mean, I did arrive with a plan, of course. I had cities mapped out. I had dates in mind, this fantasy of seeing it all. But what ended up happening was something much better. I let go of the checklist and I just surrendered to the feeling. And in the end, after 3 months, I made only 4 cities my home because I just ended up staying in places that I loved so much I didn't want to leave. And I let go of this idea that I need to leave, I need to see more places, and just forgot about my itinerary and decided to really live in those moments and experience those places on a deeper level. Okay, now you're wondering which 4 places. Well, let's start with Bombay. Ah, Bombay. Or Mumbai, as the map calls it. But once you start getting to know the locals, once the city really gets under your skin, it's Bombay. And for me, it really did get under my skin. So Bombay is Bollywood. It's loud, glittering, creative. Every second person you meet is either an actor, a writer, a director, or they're desperately trying to be one. I actually went on a date with this guy I met there. And afterwards, I told my friend about it, and she's Indian. And she totally freaked out. She said he was apparently some famous Bollywood actor. I mean, little did I know, right? That's Bombay for you. You're constantly bumping up against possibility. You're brushing shoulders with dreams in progress. Ah, I loved it. I started out in Bandra West, and I was staying at this really cozy hostel called Namaste. And Bandra felt like the Hollywood of India, no doubt. It was glitzy, full of nightlife, charm, cafes, and I would just sit there working while the people next to me were editing scripts or they were arguing about set designs, So it really felt like this creative space. There was so much energy there. Then, of course, you have Colaba, Old Bombay, and there you'll find colonial architecture, and you have these beautiful bustling markets and tree-lined streets, and when you walk these streets, you can faintly smell the ocean in the mornings. And I stayed at Backpacker Cowie's, this old Victorian building that they turned into a hostel, and it had a spiral wooden staircase that would creak under your feet as you walk up it, and it just felt like stepping back in time. South Bombay feels like it's right out of a movie or a novel. It was a truly special place. And then after that, I moved to this little apartment in Andheri, a different part of the city, and it had a narrow balcony. just in time for monsoon season because I spent entire afternoons there, just barefoot, wrapped in a shawl, watching the rain trail down the palm leaves, listening to the city shift beneath the weight of the water. Then the heat would lift, the wind would change, and the world somehow felt cleansed. And I remember feeling truly heartbroken when I left Bombay. But I've learned something about myself. I fall in love with places easily. And sometimes I think I can stay forever. But then I go somewhere new and I fall in love all over again. And I guess that's the gift of leaving. It makes room for new magic. And so I had to remind myself of that. And of course, new magic came. So the next city I went to was Jaipur. And Jaipur is seen like the gateway to Rajasthan. Rajasthan is a state in the north of India. And it feels like walking through a dream. Rajasthan is the India you see in fairy tales. It is pink sandstone cities, ornate palaces, mirrored temples, colors so vivid they feel like hallucinations. In Jaipur, I first stayed at Mustache Hostel, which was beautiful, so social. I met lovely people there. But then later I moved to an Airbnb. And this Airbnb had these lime green walls and a rooftop view of the city. And it was in that Airbnb, in that apartment in Jaipur, at 3 a.m., one sweaty, sleepless night, that I sat cross-legged on the floor and I recorded the very first episode of this podcast, of the Lost and Found podcast. I had no idea what I was doing at the time, but it just felt right. And so I will always be so thankful to Jaipur specifically, because that is the space that eventually gave me the courage to start this, to be speaking to you now. I just had such a good time there. I wandered through Patrika Gate. Thinking back to it, I just remember all these columns painted in wild colors, and I stood barefoot in courtyards watching evening prayers unfold against the setting sun. I remember hiking up the Aravali hills to see the view from Nahagar Fort. Cows in the street, monkeys on the path on my way up. The city stretched out below me like a fever dream. Jaipur was hot and it was heavy and it was full of life and loud, but so worth it. And then came Udaipur. I could spend a whole podcast episode itself just talking about Udaipur and the people I met there and the memories I made there. I mean, going there, I heard that Udaipur was Rudyard Kipling's favorite city in the world. And now I completely understand why. In my mind, at the moment, Udaipur is tied as my favorite place in the whole world. And it is tied with Buenos Aires, which says a lot because I loved Buenos Aires. So I ended up staying a whole month in Udaipur. I found a room in which is probably the nicest hostel I've ever stayed at, Dream Yard Hostel. And this room had these big bay windows that opened up onto Lake Picola. And my view from the room was of these golden reflections and glimmering rooftops and boats gliding softly over the water at dusk. It was exactly the name of the hostel. It was a dream. It was such a dreamy, ethereal place. The streets were kind of narrow and cobblestoned, and it was lined with vendors selling paneer kofta, thalis, masala chai, all these vibrant fabrics. Oh, I bought clothes in Udaipur because it's just so well priced and it's stuff that you will never find anywhere else. So sadly, my vow to only travel with my green backpack has gone to shit, and I had to buy another bag. So I'm now traveling with 2 bags because of Udaipur. And the vendors were selling coconuts and incense. The whole place was just magic. And the hostel that really became my sanctuary. It had this beautiful rooftop. We would just sit on that rooftop every night and watch as the bats swirled through the pink sky. We would talk about everything and nothing, the kind of conversations that really change you, the kind of conversations that make you believe in people again. And we went on motorcycle rides through the misty hills. And there was this one night specifically that I was watching the sun dip behind the mountains, watching Monsoon Palace up on the hill. And I remember thinking that this is it. This is the kind of beauty that rearranges you. And it was really in Udaipur that I found a community. And not the kind of community that passes like ones do when you're on the road, but a community that lingers. And I haven't felt that for a long time. And on one of my first nights, I met Annie. And if you've been following along on my social media, you probably have seen Annie in so many of my posts lately. She is just one of the best people that I've ever met in my whole life. She was supposed to stay only a few days, but we were having so much fun, so she kept extending. And then her dorm room was full, so I told her, well, just come stay in my room for a night. And she basically moved in, and we lived together for like a month, and we were inseparable. And it was the two of us. It was Zozan and Faruk from Turkey, Francis, Charles, Varis, Shikar, Taslim. All these names, they still echo. I'm going to remember them for such a long time. And we stayed so long at that hostel that it really did start to feel like a little family. I spent my 24th birthday in Udaipur, and I felt so grateful and lucky for that. I felt more held than I could have even imagined. Because birthdays on the road are usually quite hard because you're not with the people you love, you're not with your family. You kind of feel the absence of everyone who really knows you. But this year, I was so overwhelmed by love. There were dances on the rooftop, a homemade cake with my name on it, laughter. I mean, stuff that I'll just never forget. I'm so grateful for Udaipur. I will be nostalgic about that time forever. So if you're ever planning to go to India, do not skip Udaipur and go to Dreamyard Hostel. Okay, so from Udaipur, I took this sleepless night bus to Delhi, and I moved into a tiny room in Greater Kailash, which is in South Delhi. Yes, I must say, a lot of the stereotypes, the stuff you hear about Delhi, is true. It is hot. It's loud. Right now at this time of the year, monsoon season, it's wet. Currently, I'm watching the rain pour down outside my window. And if I walk closer to the little balcony area, then I can just see floods happening and people on their scooters trying not to fall over and completely get drenched. So it's true. My room has these floor-to-ceiling windows and this scrappy charm that honestly feels straight out of a coming-of-age indie movie. You know those apartments in the movies that broke 20-somethings always live in? They look so romantic, but in reality, something like that would be just so expensive. Well, this place feels exactly like that, except that it's actually affordable, so that's great for me. I'm looking to my left at this little steel desk with a chair and a bed, and on the one side, I have a view of the tree-lined streets outside and all the rickshaws passing by and the street vendors. And then on the other side, I have a view of the fire escape at the back of the other building next to me. So it really feels like, scrappy coming-of-age apartment. I love it. Delhi for me has been slow mornings. I wake up, I go for a walk, I take my laptop to a cafe, set up camp, work. It's been long nights finding cute little bars where I can have a glass of wine and read in low lighting. It's been wandering through Deer Park and the Lodi Gardens at golden hour and seeing the tombs glowing at sunset and browsing bookstores and stumbling into conversations with people and just watching the world go by from the back of a rickshaw, rain splashing up from the road. And I think Delhi has been a soft ending. I will be back. I don't know when, but I will. There's still so much to see. I haven't even scratched the surface. So yeah, Delhi has been a beautiful ending to the trip, but it also feels like this beginning all at once, you know? And now that you've sat through me just gushing about India and these cities, I want to kind of talk about what I learned here. Because India has really challenged me, and I think that I've grown into someone different in my time here. And I would like to reflect on that. So, firstly, and most importantly, I think India has taught me how to let go of control. Like, fully, truly let go of control, not just in theory. Why? Because you learn here fast that no matter how much you try to plan, life will unfold in its own chaotic choreography. If you're on the back of a motorcycle weaving through impossible traffic, close enough to touch the elbow of the man in the rickshaw next to you, just know you'll be fine. If you're on an overnight sleeper bus, speeding through darkness so fast, you might just roll out of your bunk, again, you'll be fine. If you're staring blankly at a menu in a language that you can't read and there's so many options and you don't know what to pick, trust the food vendor. He'll hand you something that'll blow your mind. I really learned here how to trust and let the world surprise you. And I'll definitely carry that into the rest of my life. India has also taught me how to soften into uncertainty because often trains are late and sometimes buses don't show. Detours are frequent and translation is an art of gesture and hope. But somewhere along the way, there was something in me that stopped bracing myself. I stopped needing to know what was coming next, and I learned to live in this not knowing, to trust that what is meant for me will find me, and not just here, but again, everywhere, anywhere in my life. What is meant for me will find me. India also taught me how to linger, how to sit with a second cup of coffee in the morning without guilt, without this need that, oh, I need to start working. Just linger. How to let myself be pulled into a street conversation with a stranger and really give them my full attention and see what I can learn from that. How to linger in a city because it feels good, even if my itinerary tells me to move on. How to choose presence over productivity. How to choose curiosity over control. And then, this is a big one. India taught me what real food tastes like. I'm sorry, I can never go back to pretending Western food is enough. The depth, the diversity of Indian food is just outrageous. To this day, I don't understand how something as simple as potato and like a creamy spinach sauce, they call it aloo palak, can taste like an absolute revelation. Aloo palak to butter chapati, that is my go-to now. It has my heart. It's my favorite food in the whole world. Then, I'm thinking of butter paneer masala, masala dosa, dull and fresh, warm tandoori roti. Oh, I'm literally just making myself hungry now. I've been here so long, and there has not been one meal that I didn't actively crave Indian food. I I never felt like I needed to go to a cafe and have some Western food or have some Italian or never, not once. In fact, every time a friend asks me, you want something else today? You want to go to a cafe, have some salad or avocado on toast? I'm just like, absolutely not. Give me aloo palak right now. Also, I've learned how to handle my spice. I'm so proud of myself, and that in itself feels like a metaphor to me. I'm gonna leave it right there. Okay, India has also taught me how to ask for what I want, how to speak up. I was sitting on a train, this 8-hour train from Jaipur to Udaipur, and I was sitting in an aisle seat There are a few seats open here and there, so I realized I could just ask the conductor if I could get a window seat. And he said yes. Also, that asking for what you want really translated into bigger areas of my life. Because I actually ended up asking for a role pivot in my job that led to a promotion, and it led to work that feels more aligned for me, that makes me more joyful, it makes me feel more like myself. There's so many little examples of learning to ask for what I want here, where in the past I probably just would have not said anything. But then realizing that when you ask, oftentimes people want to give. The universe gives, you know? These small requests lead to big shifts. India also taught me the unbounded kindness of strangers. And now I'm thinking of a few really specific instances. There was this lovely girl who was working at the coffee shop that I frequented in Bombay when I was staying in Andheri. And I had the same order every morning, and I would sit there working. And after day 2, I would come in and she would greet me by name and usher me to the front of the line, already having my order ready. And stuff like that just really made me feel so at home while I'm so far away from home. And I'm thinking of like the woman on the train the other day who reached for my hand without saying a word. It's a little old lady in a beautiful sari, and she reaches for my hand. She looks up straight into my eyes. She smiles at me, and all she does is nod. That's it. As if saying, I see you. I mean, wow. That moment for me was so profound. It's these small, silent acts of care. I made such a lovely friend in Bombay. Her name is Shavika. We met at the gym one night, and we met up for wine the next night. And she arrived with earrings that she bought me that she thought would suit me. And it was exactly my style. I've just felt so loved here, so seen, and just absolutely astounded at how people would go out of their way to show you such kindness here. Also, in the apartment where I was staying in Bombay, I rented one room in an apartment. So there were other rooms with people staying there. And there was this one family staying in the room next to mine, mom and dad and 3 little kids. They came from a small town. I can't remember the town's name, but they were bringing their kids for acting classes and auditions in the big city. And every morning they would sit on the kitchen floor and have breakfast. And after a while, they started inviting me to have breakfast with them. So then I would wake up and the mom literally made me breakfast. And if I had a meeting early the morning that ran over, I would find the breakfast in the fridge with my name labeled on it. Stuff like that, which is, oh, I really haven't felt this deep level of kindness, truly, I think, anywhere else in the world. I mean, everywhere people are beautiful and kind, but there's something to Indian hospitality that is just otherworldly. But with that, I also want to say that, of course, people in India are very curious of foreign people. So they see you walking on the street, they want to talk to you, they want to take a photo, they want to know where you're from, why you're alone. And so at first, I really felt like I owed everyone my time, my energy, and I guess slowly over time, it got a little bit much sometimes when I really just wanted to, get to a place, or that day I just wasn't in the mood to have 5 conversations on my way to the cafe where I was about to work or something like that. So slowly I kind of learned how to set boundaries while still being really respectful, because the people are so lovely and they only come from a place of care and curiosity. So I think I learned how to protect my space and to draw lines and to say that I'm sorry, I can't have a conversation right now, but thank you for offering, or thank you for the offer of tea or whatever it would be. And I think that skill of setting boundaries while remaining respectful has really stretched into the rest of my life. And I see myself moving differently in my relationships, in my friendships. And I think I've become less afraid of taking up space on my own terms and saying what it is that I need and what I won't stand for. And yeah, there's a power in that. And I truly think I have India to thank. I think India also taught me that I am small. And that's freeing because there are over 1 billion people in this country. And it's humbling when you walk through the crowds. It's liberating. You get to dissolve into the current of people and let the river take you. And you can just be. And you realize that your worries, the way you grew up, the things you think matters, it's so small in relation to this massive country with its rich cultural history. The world is big. That is truly freeing because it means that you have so much to see. You have so much room to expand yourself into. And there's so much places to fall in love with, so many people to fall in love with. So I think that's a beautiful thing. And following from that, India has taught me how to hold beauty and discomfort at the same time because it's not neat here. It's not like a tidy country. And it's also not pretending to be. And that's the beauty of it. It's raw and it's loud and it's messy, but it's also wildly beautiful. And you can feel that it's a sacred space. It's holy. And I think that while I was here, I really stopped trying to separate those things. Something can be really beautiful, and sometimes it can also be a lot. And you can start to see that life is both beauty and discomfort, and it always has been. And when I stopped trying to resist that, I started healing. It also taught me how to feel again. From temples to rivers, to beaches, to sacred music at sunrise, yoga by the lake, the soft flicker of candles on a rooftop. I found myself speechless so many times, not out of confusion, but reverence. And I realized that not everything needs to be understood. Some things you just need to feel. I'm almost done with everything India has taught me. There's just so much. I wouldn't say India taught me this, but I think it's a gift that it gave me. Is the gift of really being proud of myself. I mean, I realized tonight as I was thinking about what I want to say on this episode, I realized that I came here alone to a country where so many people warned me not to go. Too dangerous, too chaotic, they said. And yes, of course, there were moments where I could see that, moments that pushed me. But I figured it out. I trusted myself. I moved through unfamiliar streets. I took sleeper buses. I handled scams, language barriers, stomach bugs, broken sandals in the middle of the day. And still, I came out on the other side more than alive, more capable, more me. I made a life here, even if it was just for a little while. And I'm leaving proud of the woman I was brave enough to be. So thank you for that, India. You gave me that. And also, something that India really showed me was that the world is not as scary as Western media makes it out to be. Before I came, I heard all these warnings, right? But on the ground, here in the country, it's a different story. 1,000 small kindnesses, moments of connection, generosity from people who have nothing to gain. Yes, there are real dangers, but there are real dangers everywhere. And there's just so much love here, so much humanity. And what I've really learned here is that if you move through the world with curiosity and care, more often than not, the world meets you with the same. Let that sink in. The energy you put out is really the energy you attract. I had so many conversations about this with friends during this time. You really attract what you put out there. And so meet the world with curiosity and kindness, and that's how it will meet you. And then lastly, and maybe most of all, India completely reignited my creativity. I started this podcast here in Jaipur. I wrote my book in Udaipur. I launched the Lost and Found book club from a tiny cafe in Delhi. I don't know if it's the chaos or the color or just the overwhelming abundance of it all, but something about this place just opened me up. There's no place like it in the world. I can't say it gave me all the answers, but it definitely gave me new questions and the courage to keep asking them. And so I leave India, not with a tidy ending, but with a heart that feels, I think, a little bit heavier in a really good way. Heavier in a more whole way. You arrive as a stranger, and somehow you leave feeling known. Not necessarily by everyone, but by yourself. Or at least by a new version of yourself that you only meet in the unfamiliar. I'll carry these cities with me, Bombay's energy, Jaipur's colors, Udaipur's stillness, Delhi's chaos. These places have really taken root in me, and although I'm moving on now, I know I'll keep finding India in places it doesn't belong, in a certain smell, a sound, a moment of unexpected softness, kindness, or in the sudden craving for paneer butter masala, which will be hitting me. I'm going to go through complete withdrawals not having Indian food. But I think that's the magic of solo travel. It shows you who you are when no one is looking. It strips you down and it builds you back up with stories that only you will ever truly understand. But maybe that's enough. Maybe. So wherever you are right now, on a bus, on a run, in your room, packing for your next chapter, making food, wherever you are, I hope this episode reminded you that the world is so wide and that you are allowed to go, that you are allowed to change, that you can leave something behind and still carry its beauty with you. So, India, thank you for the love, for reminding me that we don't always need a plan. Sometimes we just need to trust the road and take the next step. Okay. If this episode moved you, made you think, or just made you want to pack a bag, I'd love it if you share it with someone, a friend, a fellow wanderer, maybe someone who needs a nudge. And if you have a moment, please leave me a quick review or a rating. It really helps the podcast reach the people that need to hear it most. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being here, for letting me tell my stories. I appreciate you more than you know. And this week, remember to get a little lost. That's where the magic finds you. Until next time, same heart, same Carmen, different country. See you in Vietnam.